Hey guys, I'm Damesies. Welcome to the Omnic recap. Guys, today's question is Blizzard lying to us? Or is something else going on here? I've talked plenty of times in these videos on how I've been following Blizzard for over 2 decades. And you could say that I've been reporting on one or few of these games for the last few years pretty intensely. In other words, I feel like I've gotten to know them pretty well. Well, up to some point at least. But in the last 2 years, with everything that happened, I guess we kinda grew estranged. I did a whole video on how Blizzard changed a few months ago. And I talked about how they become this big corporate machine under the pressure of the holding and their shareholders. And you know, that was kind of inevitable. I attribute it to the way our society works these days. Big money draws in douchebags, and those turn any organization into a money cow that they'll keep milking till the last penny drops. But then, like 2 weeks ago, I was on a short straw, walking around for my mental health, you know? And I generally kind of listen to podcasts while I'm doing that. I bumped into a new episode of The Instance, which is a Blizzard podcast that I've been listening to for years now. But they are currently on a hiatus. Well, except for this one episode. See, the host of that podcast, Scott Johnson, over the years became pretty good friends with Chris Metzen, who is one of the original Blizzard team members. And at some point he made it to something like Senior Vice President of Franchises, Senior Vice President of Storytelling, and Franchise Development. Try fitting that on a business card. Now, he ended up retiring in 2016, kind of before the whole bomb exploded, and he started a new company called Warchief that does tabletop games. But anyways, in this new extraordinary episode, both Scott and Chris talked about Blizzard and how things are evolving at the company. They still have a lot of contacts and friends down there, and according to these people, things are actually improving. It seems that everything that surfaced 2 years ago has contributed to a new, better workplace. And of course, they still have a lot of work to do. They were in pretty deep. But at least that is some good news. Now, the thing that stuck out the most for me in that whole conversation is that according to Chris, that passion and that love for making these games is still very present at the company. The thing is, it wasn't as much the fact that Chris said so that surprised me, but rather the idea that I ever doubted it. When the Halloween Terror event started in Overwatch, I said in one of my videos that you could almost taste the love and the passion that they put into that event, but that it got buried under rushed and greedy execution. And I guess all of Blizzard's actions in these last few months and years have led us to this place of distrust. And to be honest, I think we're in a spot where their own fans don't want them to succeed anymore. I mean, the most painful example has been the Game Awards. A few weeks ago, we learned that Overwatch 2 was nominated in the category Multiplayer Game of the Year. And the response to that news was extremely negative. It was crazy. It ranged from mockery to rants on how Blizzard screwed up everybody's beloved game. And you know what? The haters, the trolls, they'll always be a little louder than the rest. And there definitely are those people that celebrated the news. But if I have to be honest, even I had this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach that this nomination was too soon. Another example is that this week the shop was updated. Now, they introduced a series of new bundles that had some huge discounts on them. So much so that most of these bundles are cheaper than the actual skins if you buy those separately. And again, the reception overall has been negative. Both players and content creators were questioning the motives of Blizzard for doing these discounts. As if Blizzard was lying to us, that they were trying to trick us. Deceive! The buggers. Now later it turned out that this was their Black Friday sale, something that is very common everywhere now. I mean, I do think it's fair to question if sales and Black Friday are some kind of deception in general. But we can't put all of that on Blizzard, apart from the discussion on the bloated prices, of course. The fact that we all kind of went for the most negative scenario immediately attests to a huge problem. Blizzard and Overwatch has a reputation problem. Literally, with every update I post or every topic that I talk about, people will be in the comments drawing the worst conclusions. At some point, it even becomes like conspiracy theories. I mean, you could make some good money selling tinfoil hats in this community. But all kidding aside, this is problematic for Blizzard. I mean, sure, in the first few weeks, they were doing really good. We could notice that in our own numbers as content creators. But now I can feel things are shifting. That initial enthusiasm, that curiosity, the honeymoon weeks, those are over. And the distrust has grown to such a level, and all that we are left with is this awkward, weird feeling. The feeling that this game that is loved by millions has become a tool for Blizzard to relieve us of our hard-earned doubloons. Or whatever you pay with. But on the other hand, you have the people in Team 4 that seem to be very passionate about what they're doing. They want to make this into the most enjoyable experience that they can keep building on for years to come. And that passion, that love for the game is not surfacing enough. Because Blizzard is not communicating. Well, not enough at least. I mean, yeah, sure, it is better than it was a year ago. That's kind of an unfair comparison. And it's definitely not enough to drown out all of these conspiracy theories. I mean, if they had announced those discounts as Black Friday sales on the day of release, maybe a few days before that, the outcome would have possibly been different. The whole sentiment around those sales would have been different. But they waited 2 days, and by then the damage was done. People felt cheated and treated as fools. And that's just it. The whole reputation is slowly going down the drain. And on the long run, that is going to cost them. The friction with every change and every release they'll do in the future is going to become bigger. And it's going to start to weigh on their sales and in the end on the team's morale. Because let's be honest, working months on it, on a feature that you're passionate about, and to finally get to push it out to see people poop on it because they don't trust you, that sucks. Now the reason why they're probably not communicating as much is their fear for overpromising, something they've done in the past. And we could notice that in the blog post that Jared News did like 2 weeks ago. There was so much careful phrasing, warnings, and these sentences as we'll talk more about that later. Which in the end is okay, but if that is the only thing you're going to be talking about, I mean, I think we can all understand that they don't want to make any promises or guarantees on features they possibly can't deliver on. But they need to meet us somewhere in the middle, especially by addressing some of the most prevalent issues quickly. Being honest, being transparent in their thinking, it feels like they're stuck in their internal procedures and that they're not really taking perception into account. And again, that is going to cost them. It is going to make everything a lot more harder to deal with as we move forward. And they run into the risk that it escalates so hard that by the time that they throw their winning card on the table, which is in my opinion PvE, nobody's going to care. Well, there are people that are going to care. Those that are going to pounce it and take it all down. I mean, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but this is sad. I want us all to go back to a place where we feel pride whenever Overwatch is nominated for any prize. I want to get rid of that uneasy feeling. Now that being said, I do feel that there's some change in the air, but I want to be careful. They announced a few reveal events for Overwatch 2 for Season 2 that are going to happen in the next few days. Well, actually the first one happened yesterday, and by the time this video goes live, the second one will have happened, which is a gameplay trailer and a developer update on Ramatra. I'll be talking more about those in my next videos. And on top of that, I've seen more of the team members being responsive and sharing more info on Twitter. At least they're sharing what they're allowed to share. If they could keep this up and be a little more transparent in their general communication, well, I think it would go a long way to regain that trust. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Now tell me, how have you been feeling about Overwatch in general? Let me know in the comments. For now, however, that was it. Thank you very much for watching. See you during my streams on twitch.tv/DamesTV or in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.